You guys doing? This is Miss O, and I'm just here to talk about therapeutic massage, the benefits of therapeutic massage, how to find a massage therapist slash bodywork therapist that is going to help you with all of your muscular needs, right? To help you with those specific things that you feel those aches and pains and you want to alleviate those things. So, first and foremost, my name is Miss O. I'm a therapist of over 15 years and I am a licensed massage bodywork therapist. So, first and foremost, what you want to do when you are looking for a therapist, you want to be clear on what your goal is. What is your goal? Is it a certain pain that you've had for years? Is it an injury and you never really recovered from it? Or do you have um, something like currently happening, like surgery? You're rehabilitating from surgery, and know what you want to do is you want to get the range of motion back in one of your limbs. Then what you would do, you would first and foremost, make sure your therapist is licensed. Then you want to find out, have they done any rehabilitation? What is their specialty or modality, which is it sports? Is it deep tissue? Is it neuromuscular? Those are usually, do they have stretching? Certification in stretching, or just a very long and extensive career with stretching as it relates to rehabilitation. And you want to ask those questions and you want to give them time to answer. You also can go by word of mouth, right? And then you go and you receive the service. You want to make sure that the place is clean. You want to make sure that the person is empathetic and complimentary and compliments like your demeanor, because sometimes it's not that the massage therapist is not good, is that you two are not a good match. And a lot of times, we were taught in school that we should not talk to our clients. That's baloney. We absolutely have to talk to you because we have to ask you questions, especially when you are coming in for a specific problem, when you have a specific outcome that you want to achieve, then we have to ask you questions. For me personally, I ask questions before and I ask questions during. Why am I doing that? I am doing that so that I can ascertain whether or not I am hitting those target areas that you have specified are in pain. And also, what I will do is I will have you move the area, whether it's your neck or your shoulder or, your legs. I will have you move the area. I will have you walk. Why am I doing that? I am doing that again to assess, because the model is the person comes in, they lay on the table, they're mute for 60 or whatever the time whatever the duration is, and then they get up and they leave. And that's when you ask at the end, how do you feel? For me, that is not how I work. What I do first and foremost is, like I said, I ask you questions before. When I find something on you as I'm working on you, I'm going to ask you questions about that. The questions are to get your memory going, because a lot of times we might lean to one side, we might sit with our legs on top of one leg, we might slouch like this, right? Automatically, when you slouch, your head goes forward like a turtle. Okay, that creates what's called a postural imbalance. That creates pressure on the bottom of the neck and at the base of the skull. You understand? That can create tension headaches that go to the eyes. If you continue to be in this position, you realize when somebody tells you to sit up, you do this, but to actually do this is very difficult. And then it starts to feel uncomfortable because, excuse me, your muscles have memory. So, however you allow your muscles to be, that is the way they are going to stay for the most part until you start to retrain them. So that's why I ask questions. because oftentimes the things that people feel, the restrictions that people have, it has been over time that the muscle has developed this memory. And no, it's come to a point where the muscles are choking the nerves and the nerves are tapping out saying, hello, hello, we're being choked. We need some help. We need some reinforcements. And that's typically what therapeutic massage is. It is reinforcement for your body. So some people will say, I'm a healer. Let me stop you right there. Only God and Jesus heal. I am not a healer. I don't have healing hands. What I am is a willing vessel of Jesus Christ, right? A willing vessel of the Lord, right? I have training to know the muscles and the muscle groups. And then with the information that you tell me and with the information and experience I have, I work on the body and I help the body move those obstructions that are actually called toxins or adhesions, help them to move along, and then the body starts to heal itself. So I am not the healer. God heals. I am just a helper. I'm a helper. I'm a catalyst. That's it. That being said, I like to assess you throughout the session. That is to make sure that we are on the right track. We're hitting those areas. You're getting back the motion. You're getting back the flexibility. You're getting the proper ambulation, which is your walking pattern, right? For me, it doesn't make sense to have you lay on the table, never say anything to you, and then get up and then we're trying to assess. No, we need to assess as we go, right? Because if I'm on the right track, good. If I'm not on the right track, then I need to course correct. And a lot of times you might come in and you say, well, my neck hurts. Only work on my neck and my back. The issue can be coming from your pecs. They can be coming from a muscle up under the armpit called subscapularis. They can come from a muscle on the side that comes from the side, actually comes from the front, wraps around, and then attaches to the scapula or the shoulder blade, which is what most people call it. And so the body has a lot of muscles. There's not just one muscle in any area. And for all the muscles, there are nerves, and those nerves move the muscles. Okay, so the hierarchy is nerves, muscles, bones. The nerves move the muscles move the bones. Okay, the bones are there to protect those vital organs, right? The rib cage. And then the other bones, if we didn't have bones, we wouldn't be able to move. It would just be like some muscles and some nerves, but we need that bone. We need the muscle and the nerves attached to the bone to have everything move. Okay? So, bottom line is therapeutic massage is to help you alleviate pain. It might be in multiple areas or it might be in one area, but it is a specific issue that you are wanting to address, right? No. A lot of times people will say, I don't want glute work. I don't want this work. When you eliminate your glutes from being worked on, you're literally leaving what I call money on the table. Because oftentimes people are like, I had a massage, it didn't really do anything. Number one, oftentimes people come in and they say, I want to relax, or they say, dig in, you can't hurt me. It's very rare that people come in and just say specifically, this area is bothering me. Here is when it started. And they want it alleviated. But oftentimes, because many times people are not educated on what therapeutic massage is and what we as the massage therapists are there for. They just come in and say, do this, do that. That's not what this is. If you want the alleviation of pain, if you want the restoration of proper circulation, if you want the restoration of your range of motion and of your flexibility, then you have to give us the information we need as the client, but then you also have to give us the autonomy as the experts, as the professionals, to do what we know to do best. So going back to glutes, why are glutes so important? Glutes are one of the largest muscles on the body. Glutes are in between your lower back muscles and your hamstrings, which is the back of the thigh. So a lot of times the glutes are in a tug of war. For people who sit a lot, those muscles are locked in an L shape for several hours, impacting the lower back, the glutes, and the hamstrings. For people who stand, you're standing and the hamstrings are pulling, the glutes are pulling, the lower back is pulling. And this creates, like I said, it creates a stalemate. Somebody's going to win. Somebody is going to win. Somebody is going to scream the loudest. And when you don't work glutes, you might get temporary relief, but you won't get the full range of relief that you are looking for. And oftentimes, people get so used to pain that they just think that's normal. And because the muscles are already in pain, when the glutes are worked on, sometimes it feels excruciating. Other times, like I said, people are like, don't touch the glutes because maybe they have been through some type of trauma where they were violated. The biggest reason that I have found is because people don't understand what the glutes do and how they contribute to other pains in the body. Because when your glutes are tight, it contributes to low back pain, mid back pain, even upper back pain. Okay. I had a client, she was in a car accident and she had this pain that was over a year old by the time she had come to see me. This pain was persistent. This pain would like really flare up and like almost take her out, right? And the muscle was really in a knot. It was just very tight. And I worked on the area, but because of expertise and just dealing with people and knowing you can work an area until you overwork it and know it's irritated and it just makes the situation worse, I followed the line. And what do I mean when I say I followed the line? I mean, I went from the shoulder that was bothering her down the back, right? Which is erector spinae and longissimus dorsi. Those are the longest muscles on the back, to the glute, to the hamstring. Loosening the hamstring and the glute muscle made all the difference. That muscle that was up here and the back of the shoulder loosened. And I asked her how she felt, and she said, I feel good. I said, do you feel the knot anymore? She was like, no, it is completely gone. And she was so amazed. And I tell that story because I want people to understand something may have happened to you. You just may think it's weird for somebody to be quote unquote touching your butt, but they're not touching your butt. They are doing therapeutic massage on your glutes. Okay? And again, if that's not done, a lot of times the problem just persists. It stays there. You don't get the full alleviation. You don't get the full range of motion you want in your legs. Because if the glutes are locked up, it's going to lead to hamstrings being locked up. If your glutes are locked up, it will mess with your hip flexors. Everything is connected. Everything is connected. I tell my finger to move. I didn't say finger move. I just thought it and it did it. These are from nerves coming here down through here to this finger. So everything is connected. So have your glutes worked. Here's the thing. Glutes can be worked with clothes on, with the sheets on. If anybody ever tells you, no, you absolutely need to remove your underwear, you absolutely need to remove your clothing, then you know that person is a liar. And it could be just that that's the way that person was taught, right? Versus them just being like a creepy person. There are those people there, and we have to be aware of them, right? So if you get a check in your spirit, like something right about this person, don't you dare get on that table, don't you dare undress. You can absolutely, you can absolutely have a massage done with all your clothes on. I've had men and women keep all of their clothes on and receive an amazing massage because it's about anatomy, physiology. That's what it's about, anatomy and physiology, okay? Where the muscles are and how they work. If you know that, you can give a massage. Unless they have on 18 layers of clothes, you know, you can give a massage. So I say that to say no one should be telling you completely undress. No one should be telling you I have to have complete contact. There are some times when you will need to contact the skin, sometimes, but not always, you know? And, but absolutely, glutes need to be worked because where they are, where the muscles insert. And for runners, for cyclists, for people who have desk jobs, low back pain, headaches, glutes play an important role. So they need to be worked. They can be worked with clothes on, with underwear on, with the sheets on. If it's about touch and it feels weird, you can put a towel. If you feel like I've never had my glutes worked before, you can work into it, meaning you can, put a towel over it. There are stretches that will stretch the glutes, right? But if those muscles are like still tight and you realize that, oh my gosh, once she or she stretched me, it felt so good, then think how much more better you can feel if they're actually worked on, because glutes get really tight. It takes a while for them to say, hey, something is wrong. It takes a while for them to say anything because they're used to working hard. They work when we walk, they work when we sit, they work when we're laying down, they work when we're exercising. They are always working. So by the time they say something, or by the time you have like a lower back pain and you're just like, I don't know what this is, I don't know where this is coming from, if you leave the glutes out of being worked on, you are leaving money on the table. You are prolonging your alleviation of pain, and you are throwing a monkey wrench in your rehabilitation. If you're rehabilitating from some type of incident, accident, you are throwing a monkey wrench and you are making your process longer. So all I'm saying to you is give glutes a chance. Allow your glutes to be worked on. If somebody comments, of course, like, oh, you have a nice behind, or you got a nice shape, you got a nice physique, you look like you're a runner, you look like you're an athlete, then of course you can say, oh my gosh, I need to go to the bathroom and get up out of there. If you discern that maybe the person just doesn't have that level of professional etiquette, then you can use it as a teachable moment. But do not question yourself when it comes to your safety. If you feel any twinge of, this doesn't feel safe, honey, I gotta go to the bathroom bad. Take your stuff and exit. Take your stuff and exit. It's okay. It's really okay to take your things and exit if you do not feel safe. It's okay. Moving on. pec work. The pecs are the muscles on the chest. For women, we have breast tissue over our pecs, but the pecs are literally right here. You can still work that area. Why am I bringing this up? Pec minor, which is attaches here and it comes down here. It's a diagonal muscle. It pulls. When it pulls forward. When that muscle, I'm just going to turn to the side. When that muscle pulls forward from the neck all the way down through here, all of that is being stressed. It's being pulled. It doesn't want to be pulled. So what does it do? It resists. Just like if somebody pulled your arm, you would just resist. That's what those muscles in the back do. So a lot of times when people have neck pain and upper back shoulder pain, a lot of people when they come to me, they're like, yeah, upper back, neck and shoulders, neck, back and shoulders, right? There is pulling in the front. And again, if we only address upper back, shoulders, and neck, and we leave out this is temporary. This is temporary feel good. This is temporary feel good. To actually address the source, we got to work the pecs. Now, as a woman, I have heard from male clients and male colleagues saying women would expose themselves and say, work on my chest, work on my chest. Absolutely not. Or men clients saying, a woman therapist brushed up against them. We are professionals. We are ethical professionals, right? This is a profession where we are working very closely with people. Sometimes people get undressed. You don't have to. You do not have to. You do not have to. It's been a programming. It's been taught that you have to get fully undressed for your massage. You don't have to. You do not have to fully undress to have a massage. You don't have to. That being said, when you are working pecs, work them as they need to be worked. Again, there is always a sheet, right? A flat sheet. There usually and should be a blanket, right? And you can work through that. You can literally work through that. What are we doing? What's the purpose of working the pecs? Pec minor pulls, as I said, pulls forward. When that pulls forward, all these muscles here get pulled forward. These muscles are retractors. They retract. These are flexors. So your pec minor and your pec major pull things forward. When that happens, it creates tension. So a lot of times people are like, I have a tension headache. I don't know where it's coming from. It's usually coming from pec minor pulling all these muscles forward. And then over time, tension is created because we're always sitting up, right? And so when we slouch, that head goes forward like a turtle. That's one. Okay. When we're on our phones and we're like, and then we tend to, so what is that? It's creating postural imbalance and it's creating improper muscle memory. You've seen those people, you walk by them and the head just sticks out like this, the neck, and you say, bring your neck in, and they go like this because they're losing proper range of motion of these neck muscles because they're in a static positioning. And a lot of times they go into therapist after therapist after therapist and nobody ever told them this. And it's like, that's what's going on with you. And decades later, they're having this intense pain. But let me pause that. Going back to the pecs, pec minor specifically, When that muscle pulls, it creates tension. It creates tension in the upper back, shoulder, and the neck. So if I just go in and I just work neck, upper back, shoulders, that's temporary. Why? Because the pulling is coming from the front. The pulling is coming from pec minor. So I need to work that muscle. Why am I working that muscle? I'm working that muscle in order to release that muscle. So instead of pulling forward, it can release. When that muscle releases, then there's no pulling of um, second head of trap. There's no pulling of the shoulder. There's no pulling of the neck muscles. So then what does that do? That allows for proper blood flow, that allows for proper nerve flow or nerve conduction, right? And it allows for the muscles to go back to their proper length, not being long locked because they're being pulled. And then these pecs, but specifically pec minor, is not being short locked because it's flexing forward. So pecs need to be worked. It's not touching the breast tissue. Now, if the woman is a full chested woman, there still are ways around it. Again, you can put a towel, you can, the sheet, the towel, the sheet, the blanket, the towel, put it over her and work here because this is pec major and over here is pec minor. Right here is pec minor. And you're just coming from the insertion point of pec minor down, right? And you're just releasing that. You're just releasing it. Because when you release it, one, the shoulder drops, and two, it goes back. And when that happens, these muscles here, second head of trap, infraspinatus, supraspinatus, and teres minor, those all release. Posterior scalene, splenius capitis and cervicis, first head of trap, and levator scapula, all those neck muscles, they relax as well. Okay? So even just doing that little bit of work on my pec minor felt really good. You see, and look, you can look at my shoulders. This shoulder, this left shoulder is lower than the right shoulder because it had work done on it. It had work done on it. And it can be that simple. It can be that simple. So any therapist, whether they're a man or woman, and they're like, well, I might touch the breast tissue. It does not have to be because everyone should be properly draped. And drip means there's a sheet, there's a blanket over you. That's dripping. You are covered. You are covered. Okay? And also, if a woman is has a full chest, she can be laid on her side, still fully draped, but what happens, the breast tissue falls to the side, and no, you have more access to pec minor. Because laying on the back, the breast tissue, if it's a lot of it, is just going to go up. So when a woman is side lying, she can do that. Also, I like to work on people sitting up. So clothes will still be on, but know that you're sitting up. You're sitting in the position that you usually sit in anywhere. And that's a great way to access the insertion area and pec minor because you're sitting up. So the traditional way is to lay on the back. And then you have the two other options, which is side lying, where you lay on your side, and then sitting up. Those are the three ways that you can work on the pec. And again, there should always be a sheet, a blanket, and if you want to do extra, you can put a towel there, right? Because again, When this is stiff, this pec minor right here, you also have a muscle. Here's my clavicle. You have a muscle that goes right under there. And right now mine is like hard. Not rock hard, but it's really hard. And that's because I am always doing this. So those muscles are always working. And you think about if you're typing, when you're driving, if you're a truck driver, if you just drive a lot, you're doing this. You're cooking and stirring. You're a parent. You're constantly picking up children. You're a boxer and you're constantly doing this. Those muscles are always being worked, right? Side sleepers. You're sleeping on your side. The side that you sleep on is being short locked, okay? It's being folded in and it's doing this. And so is the top, but it's doing this and it's being long locked. But either way, these pecs are being short locked. So they're getting less oxygen, less blood flow, less lymphatic flow, less nerve flow. And over time, these different problems are created. And then what happens? You start getting pains. And one day you wake up, you're like, oh, I can't move my neck. It just happened all of a sudden. Nothing happens all of a sudden. It's been building over time. It was a chronic situation that turned acute. A chronic situation that turned acute. So that's why pecs need to be worked. And as I said, if you are a woman or even a man and you say, I don't want my pecs worked, reconsider. And then you can ask questions like, how are you going to work my pecs? Because honestly, headache issues, neck issues, scapula issues, which the scapula is called the shoulder blade. A lot of times, that scapula issue is coming from the pec. The pec is the originator because when that pec pulls, the same place where this pec in the front inserts, in the back, supraspinatus, infraspinatus, and teres minor. Here is your scapula. Those three, okay, here's your scapula. Those three sit on top of that scapula or inside the scapula. And then the muscles where they insert is right back here. And a lot of times when I work on people, they're like, oh, that's so hard. Or, oh, why does that feel like that? And it feels like that because those muscles are constantly being pulled. So just imagine, I might have to draw for you. Give me 1 second. Try not to shake this table. Oh, well, it's going to shake. Okay, so I'm going to try to draw it. Okay, so here is your scapula. Okay, this is the right scapula. So here's your scapula. You have supraspinatus, infraspinatus, and teres minor. It's called the sit muscle, S-I-T. Okay, all those muscles come out and attach right here on the back of the shoulder. So again, when that pulls, these muscles get pulled. But as you can see, this is the scapula and they just sit inside of the scapula. So a lot of times, nobody realizes how tight this is until it gets worked. And then when that gets worked and then I work the insertion point, right? This is the insertion point. Then people are like, oh my gosh. But here's the thing. They report less pain for a longer amount of time, and they report better circulation because you can feel when the circulation starts to come back in, and the pain is either completely gone or 90-80% gone, and the results are long lasting because I did not just work the area where they indicated they were having the pain. I worked the source of the pain and the area and the affected muscles, meaning around the area. All right. So what does that look like? That looks like I'm an artist, but not this type of artist. So here's the neck. So you have you got your scalenes, you got your splenius capitis, splenius cervicis. Everything on this side you have on the opposite side, but you have all these muscles. I guess I could try and make a shoulder. Okay, there it is, right? You have muscles on this side, you have muscles on this side. You have, well, here's your scapula. You have the muscles for the scapula actually insert here and then go up into the neck, okay? So you have a lot going on. So for me as a therapist, it would not, I'm just gonna move this chair up. Everything needs to be worked, right? In the back, your scapula, the three muscles that sit inside the scapula, and then their insertion point here, their insertion point there. Then the muscles of the neck, of the back of the neck, the side of the neck, the front of, well, the front of the neck, yeah, because even that plays, even that is affected. And then on the front, that's how people get lasting results. But again, there are predatory people who are actually licensed massage therapists, and they're predators. And they do unethical things. And then those of us who are not that, we get a bad name, and sometimes we get side-eyed like, you want to work what? And because people are afraid, because in this day and age, a simple situation can turn into a very serious situation very quick. And so people don't want to take the time to explain. They're just like, forget it. Just, I won't do it. And sometimes they don't even ask. They don't even ask. And also, learning how to properly communicate what you are doing and why you are doing it. There is implied consent, and then there is, what's the other consent? There's implied consent, and then there is verbal consent. Implied is when you have a form and you go over and you say, and we can work on these things. You say yes to all these things. But then also, as we are working on you, we still have to ask, especially some place like pecs, some place like glutes, feet, face, right? But for no, just sticking with the pecs. Pecs are very important because they do so much. They do a lot. And when those are not worked, then what happens is you don't get the full benefit of the massage. And what happens is the pain will persist. Oftentimes it does get worse, and then it requires more extensive and invasive treatment, because therapeutic massage, when you can catch something, no matter where it is, but you can catch it and you can consistently work on it, it will correct itself. Because as long as you are giving the body or helping the body to achieve and maintain proper circulation, which leads to proper range of motion, which leads to um, proper flexibility, then it is going to correct itself. It is going to heal itself. But as I tell people, and I'm coming here and I'm sharing this with you because there is a gap in the understanding of what therapeutic massage is, how it's applied and administered, and then what the roles and responsibilities are of the therapist, and then you as the client, and the power that you have as the client. So, again, pecs are very important. They're very important because they are always working. All your muscles are always working. And anytime you move your hand forward or backwards, or just do anything, those pecs are activated. And you have a connective tissue called the fascia, and the fascia is always activated. It does not deactivate, it only activates. So that is why, another reason why pecs need to be worked, because oftentimes the muscles are tight because the fascia is tight. And in order to release those muscles, fascia has to be released. But if the fascia is not released, if the muscle is not released, you are in for a double whammy, right? So as therapists, we need to learn how to better explain why the muscle or the muscle group needs to be worked on. And then as the client, you have to develop that rapport of trust and understand those of us, 99% of us are ethical. We're not out here to do anything shady or crazy or disrespectful. And when we say something needs to be worked, trust us. And if you have questions, it's okay. It is your body. You have to be an advocate for your body. Ask, well, why does it need to be worked? How are you going to work it? How long are you going to work it? What pressure are you going to use on it? Those are all open-ended questions. Those are all reasonable questions because you have to know. You have to know. So that way you can make an informed decision. You can make an informed decision. And the other consent is called informed consent. And also that's a thing, like sometimes people come in and they just think because my neck hurts, that's the only place you're going to work. And it's like, no, we have to work your upper back, your mid back, your shoulders, your pecs. So it would behoove all therapists to say, when the person gives you the areas that hurt, then you say, these are the areas that may be worked on throughout the massage. And again, if you have to work somewhere, like a lot of times I work up underneath the armpit because there is a muscle called subscapularis underneath the armpit. And what I find is that muscle is so tight, and it makes the first head of trap tight. It makes the neck muscles tight. It just makes, like, from upper back to neck, it makes all of that tight. And a lot of times, like 85% of the time, releasing that muscle helps everything else to release. And then my work becomes easier to facilitate because I've released that main trigger. 99% of the people that I work with, when they're new to seeing me, they have no idea, absolutely no idea, that this thing right here exists, that this muscle exists. They're like, what is that? It's like, it's your muscle. And they had no idea it existed. And when that muscle is released, they're like, oh my gosh, I feel so much better. I can turn my neck. I can bring my head back and forth. I can turn my head and bring it down. I'm not feeling that tension. because a lot of times subscapularis is super duper tight, right? So again, it's about informed consent, right? Implied consent, verbal consent, get as much consent as possible. And in order to do that, explain why these certain areas of the body need to be worked on so that way the client is more at ease, the rapport of trust is being developed and is growing. And, at the end of every session, that person should walk away feeling more different than when they first came in, you know, and at a certain point, depending on who you are and the frequency and the duration of your massage, that thing that you're coming with should be alleviated. I don't believe in, oh, the pin is always going to be there, or I'm just going to always have to live with it. That's a lie from the pits of hell. You don't have to live with something all your life unless you decide that you are going to live with it. All right. So, again, therapeutic massage usually falls under the categories, those massages that really speak to therapeutic massage is the deep tissue, the sports, and the neuromuscular. All therapeutic massage does not have to be deep tissue or deep pressure. It doesn't have to be. We just need to apply enough pressure to get circulation moving to break up adhesions, which are knots, and to start reflowing proper blood circulation, start, helping the blood to move, the lymph to move, the interstitial fluid to move, getting nerves, getting all that to move, right? Getting the muscles to release so all those things can move properly and freely in a harmonious flow. So that's what it is. That's what it is. And it's not just you come in because you want to relax. It's going having a specific issue and wanting it to be alleviated as much as possible. It's therapeutic massage is detail oriented and it's results driven. It's results driven because at the end of the session, the person should be 75 to 90% different. That's the goal. That, at least for me, that's my goal. And in order for that to happen, we have to have specifics. We have to have specifics. We have to have a game plan. It's not just woo woo intuition. There's a game plan. What muscles to work, what stretches to do, so that way the goal is met, the resolution is achieved, and that person has back, you know, their vitality, whether it's an issue with walking, an issue with using their arm. That's the end goal. The end goal is to have the body functioning at optimal health as much as possible. And optimal health is different for everyone. It's different for everyone. That's where you decide this is what I want to do. And then once you decide that and you and your therapist come together in agreement, then it's not only up to the therapist, but it's up to you as the client to do the things that need to be done. If there are suggestions outside of the therapeutic session that they suggest for you to do to keep the muscles released, to keep them soft and supple, to help them not revert back as quickly to their former length and functionality, then it's going to take work on the client outside of the massage. So this has been my first talk, my first live talk. Thank you so much for being here. Please like, please subscribe, please leave any questions you might have below. And God bless. And remember, you are your biggest advocate on the face of this earth, right? And if you don't feel safe, don't question yourself. Get out of there. The person might be fabulous and wonderful. They're just not the person for you, right? And yes, we are professionals, but if somebody says, well, I just want to do some chakra healing, or I want to do some chanting or some some bowl stuff over you, if you are a believer in Jesus Christ and you don't want to participate in that stuff, you have every right to say no. You have every right to say no. You have every right to say no. If they play music and the music don't sit well with you, you have the right to ask them to change your music, or just, just cut it off. Just cut it off, And I know I said goodbye, but obviously I'm not gone. I am here to bring balance. I am here to bring awareness and education to the field of therapeutic massage, because we are an allied health profession. It's not about intuition. It is about anatomy and physiology, learning the muscles and the muscle groups and how they function one to another, and how to best release them with minimal discomfort, even though the muscles a lot of times are already in a state of pain and discomfort. So we try to minimize that as much as possible, but sometimes there will be some discomfort, but only short-lived, and depending on what the person has going on in their body. So this is Miss O, your favorite teaching therapist. Again, please like, please subscribe, and please comment. Bye. Okay, and let's see. Trying to figure out how to shut this thing off. No. Ooh. No. It's still going. No, it's still going. Jesus. No. Oh, Lord, no, what is... Oh, Jesus. Okay. Oh, Jesus. Okay. I'm trying to figure out how to stop this live. Okay. Okay. I guess I just do this. Are you sure you want to stop streaming?